Raj Yoga by Swami Vivekananda. Pranam mantra. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suray Sachit Sukha Swarupaya Swami Netapaharine. In the previous talk, we covered Sutra number 19 and 20, where the discussion was on the nature of Prakriti, the Mother Nature. And when we were finishing the class, we mentioned that in today's class, we will discuss why this creation, why there is this creation. It has happened with practically each one of us. That a time comes in our life, and this time can come many times in a life. When we look back or we become indrawn and we ponder over life and we wonder who I am, where from have I come, and why. And it is in the nature of human beings to go on thinking the why I'm here, why there is this creation, why God made me, questions like this. Surprisingly, we never get an answer to this. Whenever you find any affirmative answer, any positive answer, which means very clear cut answer, know that it is some kind of simplistic answer. It is an answer just to put the curiosity of our mind at rest. Because no one knows why this creation took place. In Nasadya Suktam of the Vedas, it has been very beautifully expressed. Ko Adha Ved. After all, who knows? One important reason is that there is no real connect between consciousness and matter. We in the previous talk we had a detailed discussion on what is consciousness and what is matter, and how the property of one gets reflected in the other. But this reflection, it is purely reflection. It's not a real connect. There is no real connect. See, those of you who are interested in studying Vedanta might have heard some talks here, some talks there. One thing very intriguing about Vedanta philosophy is that it treats this creation, this entire universe, as some kind of a mirage. The best example that can be used for it, although very often we use crystal and some flower, it's just to make us understand. But as far as I have thought, I've gone deep into this thinking, I think that the analogy of reflection, when you stand before a mirror, you're looking at mirror, you move your hand, and the figure in the reflection also moves its hand. Now, there is no real connect. Of course, they will say that the light from some source comes and gets hit, gets reflected from my body. Then they go and create reflection. You can go on giving these physical explanations. As far as I am concerned, and the reflection, the mirror is concerned, there is no real connect. And it is a fact. There is no real connect. Not even as much as you have between a flower and a crystal. You move and your reflection moves. It's a very surprising thing, very interesting. There is no real connect, and yet everything keeps happening. For example, right now I am having this class and there is huge computer monitor before me and I am looking at it. Some kind of reflection only. In this, at least there is a camera and you have wires and things are being carried, at least you can feel some kind of connect. But in a mirror, there is no real connect. And this is a very interesting property of a mirror, which we were taught when we were in class 9, 10. If you move one step back from the mirror, the image in the mirror goes two steps back. There's a mathematical explanation to that. It's a very interesting thing. So if you take 10 steps backward, the reflection in a mirror goes 20 steps backward. That means, in spite of there being no real connect, everything appears real and in a magnified form. This is a very interesting thing. Sorry, I got this cough. Now, since there is no real connect between consciousness and matter, that is God in the universe, how can you explain how this creation came? And yet, every system of philosophy, every system of thought has to give some kind of explanation. Those of you who have studied Gita, we have this series of talks on Gita, both in Bengali and English. Hindi we tried, but we could cover only 2 chapters. After that, we didn't have time. When Sri Krishna puts before Arjuna the philosophy of life, he places these 3 philosophies. There are only 3 possible realities. One, in this infinite stretch of time behind you, you did not exist. That means you are a chance product. And once you are dead, it's all over. The universe may continue to be there for billions of years, but you will not be there. Second is, you are continuously born and you continuously die. That's the ancient Hindu belief. And thirdly, that you are that infinite Atman which knows no death, no birth. So there is no fourth possibility. After these Christians and Muslims came, they brought this fourth possibility of you come once and then you continue eternally, heaven, hell, etc. Well, that's not him. It can be incorporated in that. Whatever your philosophy of life, you cannot give up being what you are. Now, that's a very interesting philosophy of Gita. It does not matter what your outlook towards life is. Once you are here in this world, you have to follow your swadharma. The philosophies of life that are being discussed in Gita is not a mere technical intellectual discussion. It is to lead somebody higher. Now, when Vedanta explains creation, or Sankhya explains creation, or say science explains creation, the most interesting is the present day science and present day materialists. Their explanation is the worst, according to which you are born because of some chance combination, and once you are dead, you will disintegrate. But then why go on accumulating wealth in this life then? And why try to have wife and children and things like that? And why keep on creating emotional baggage, emotional burden? I really, believe me, honestly, I just don't understand the philosophy of these materialists and Marxists, and I just can't. If your birth is a chance and everything ends once you are dead, why worry about the world? We have to worry. Because we know that if I don't get mukti, I will have to go through this grind once again. Just now, one gentleman had come to meet me and he was talking to me about corona and problems of corona. And I was telling, and I meant it. I said, look, if there is one thing that I have always wanted for many years now, is death. I am no more interested. There is nothing fascinating in this world. There is nothing that can keep me held back to this world. The problem is that once I die, I will be born again unless I have self-knowledge. And if I am born again, the kind of mentality I have, I will once again be a monk, and I will once again be a monk of the Ramakrishna mission only. That's my mental tendency. And then going through this grind once again, oh my God, and eating that Belur Mutt food year after year, day after day, and year after, oh my God, it's tiring, so tiring. And then I added, worse, I will once again have to teach people like you. So that was in jest, was pure jest. But that's the idea. That is what Acharya Shankar also says. Punarapi janmani, punarapi maranam. You are born again, you die again. So the sheer fear, oh God, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. Whenever there's these philosophies, they give you some explanation, or howsoever rudimentary it may appear, howsoever may naive it may appear to you. The idea is that they want to take you towards mukti. Now, Yoga says, Tadarth eva drishyasya atma. Why this creation? Now, in the previous talk, we had discussed matter and consciousness. There is no real connect. So, why is this creation? Because creation requires both matter and consciousness. So, Swamiji says, nature has no lights of its own as long as the Purusha is present in it, it appears as light. It's borrowed, like just as the moon's light is reflected. According to the yogis, all the manifestations of nature are caused by nature itself, but nature has no purpose in view except to free the Purusha. This is a very interesting line, very interesting sentence from Swamiji, and this is the yogic standpoint. The nature of the experience is for him. Prakriti, Mother Nature, has absolutely no purpose. When they say that, why this world? Oh Lord, why this world? Why did you have this creation? Because it serves no purpose, absolutely no purpose. But then philosophy has to give some answer. Here, yoga philosophy, as well as Sankhya philosophy, which is the mother of yoga philosophy, says nature has no purpose of its own excepting for the experience of Purusha. It's slightly tricky. It's slightly tricky to understand. Imagine a situation. It's minded. It's just for analogy. And you have to imagine. Don't take it too far. Don't take it too seriously. Imagine one entity is moving in its own way. Of course, Purusha, the soul, does not move. And there is Mother Nature. Somehow they come into contact with each other. The soul is now entrapped. When I was a kid, I remember a very interesting instance. It was a very interesting incident. I used to study in a village, in my village school. Young boy, I was in class 4, something like that. And there was Ganga River by the side of a village. And we heard that a crocodile, Ganga is there, it can be pretty ferocious during monsoon. And the water of Ganga used to enter every canal and every, whatever kind of space it would find, any lowland, Ganga water used to enter. Now it had so happened that a crocodile, and fully grown crocodile, it was not a baby crocodile, by chance it had fallen in one of those low-lying areas. By then water had receded and the crocodile was not able to move back to the main river. So the news spread, and we kids, like kids of any other place, we ran to watch the scene. And it was, we were kids, and there were so many people surrounding that crocodile in that ditch. And somewhere throwing some kinds of pebble. Basically, it was clay cloth. And some was even trying to feed it. And then some elders came, and I distinctly remember they made great efforts to put some rope and through other means to pull that crocodile, which was pretty heavy. It was big in size, and heave it through that small piece of land that separated the main river with this ditch. And after hours of toil, that crocodile was somehow once again put in the river. Now, when I look back, it was really great of them, because left to kids, kids would have killed the crocodile just for fun, because kids can be ruthless, kids can be merciless, kids can be cruel. Purusha and Prakriti, there's something like this. The only question is why or how Purush comes near Prakriti. Now, there is no answer to it. It can be sheer chance, it can be God's will. The moment we say God's will, now again, why should God will something like that? And God of yoga is not someone who gets involved in all this. Actually, there is no answer. And that is what Vedanta says, that this is ajnana, ignorance. We have no idea why this happens. But what happens after that, we know. So, what happens? Creation is some kind of chance which has no meaning. That means when the materialists say that my existence is a pure chance, yes, creation according to yoga is a pure chance. That's a very interesting thing. So when these Marxists is as a philosophy, I'm saying, Marxists, materialists, Western science, when all these people keep on parading their philosophies, they don't realize that our saints and sages, they pondered over these issues for years, thousands of years ago. And what they realized was that no one knows how these, this Purusha and Prakriti came together. But one thing that we know, that they came together, and Purusha is now totally confused. Every one of you, those who have been listening to this talk, must have seen one of those cases where some wild animal or some, it gets trapped in an alien situation. And when we people, we see something alien, someone alien, generally our reaction, unless we are highly cultured, our reactions are pretty vicious. When Swami Vivekananda had been to the West, many felt that he was an alien. And there were occasions when he was chased in the streets and he had to run and he had to hide in alleys to save himself. Why? And Swamiji says beautifully that when he was moving in that Chicago World Fair, Swamiji had a turban and somebody pulled his turban. And then Swamiji looked and he apologized. The gentleman, he said, "Look, You appear so strange. And then Swamiji says, maybe he was a good husband, a good father, but simply because he saw someone who did not look like him, he reacted in that way. That's a very strange thing. I'm Purusha. I am trapped in Prakriti. And Prakriti is getting light from me. It has no light of its own. It has no purpose at all of its existence. And it is reacting variously. The way when I had seen that crocodile, I still remember it very distinctly, how different people were reacting differently. And sometimes it would move its tail, and people used to get scared because it's there's tremendous power in its tail. And because it was still in the water, it had some strength. Mother Nature, it takes us through various experiences, some pleasant, some unpleasant, and towards some experiences we are indifferent. Prakriti, like a good mother, leads us towards freedom. That is how Yoga Sutras look at life, at creation. So, because Prakriti has no light of its own, which means it has no consciousness of its own, this it cannot have any purpose. Because to have a purpose, it has to have a mind. This pain, this pain doesn't have any purpose of its existence. I put meaning and some meaning and purpose to its existence, where I say that this is an instrument for writing, to think over, to go deep into this meaning and purpose of existence. You need to have mind. Prakriti has no mind of its own. So there is no way that Prakriti can ever ensnare Purusha. This is just not possible. Purusha. And Purusha being ever free, there is no reason why he should go and get trapped. Purusha is ever established in knowledge. It is ever established in purity. Just think of yourself. If you are established in purity, and if you are established in this knowledge, supposing, think of, you have entered some poison shop, and you very well know that every item in that shop is a deadly poison. You won't even think of tasting any one of those, because you know the truth. Purusha, being established in knowledge, it's not a baby, it's not someone immature, and yet it gets entangled. This is a divine mystery, because actually sages do not have any answer to this. So now, once Prakriti gets some kind of light, it realizes that here is someone lost. Now think of some jungle folk, people who are living in a forest, and they're habituated. They're habituated in living in darkness. And there is somebody with light who is somehow lost in the forest. Now, good natured, these forest dwellers, they'll say, okay, fine, come, we'll take you out. While taking them out of that forest, naturally, the person who is lost will be experiencing different things. These are just examples, these are mere analogies to give you some idea of the situation. These need not be taken and must not be taken literally. So, now there being no conscious effort on the part of Prakriti or on the part of Purusha to have this creation, there is no conscious effort. Mind it, even in Vedanta and other sources, when God wills, there is no conscious effort, he just merely wills. But when you bring this idea of God willing, God making that will, and God wills that let there be creation. For example, in Christianity, we have this let there be light. At least you can there question. Now, why God willed something like this? But here in Purusha and Prakriti, there is no conscious effort on the part of Prakriti to go near Purusha. Neither Purusha has any conscious effort of going to Prakriti. But it happens. Now, why it happens, we don't know. That is why in one of those commentaries by these masters, they say that they are like eternally flowing rivers. They are eternally flowing rivers. Sometimes, because they are like flowing rivers, sometimes their paths meet. These are just, words of explanation. We cannot take them very seriously. Now, because there is no conscious effort, the question why there is a creation becomes meaningless. The very question why this creation, it is a meaningless question. If there were a conscious effort, either by matter or by consciousness, then this question would have come. When it comes to God, say in different religion or different philosophical system, when the question comes, why God willed something like this? There also you cannot answer because no one can know God's mind. Here, so simple, so logical. Because there is no conscious effort, this question does not arise. The question itself has no base. See, sometimes when we ask questions, question has to be reasonable. This question, why creation, from the standpoint of yoga, has no base. It's an irrational question. Something like in mathematics, division by zero. Because if you allow division by zero, you will get weird answers. The idea is there is Purusha, there is Prakriti. No one knows how they come together, but they come. After that, Prakriti makes a conscious effort, according to yoga philosophy, to take Purusha out of its realm. And before that, it shows its different sides. When it comes to me, you, etc., what does it signify? It signifies that don't you worry your head over this and that. This existence, this life is a great chance. It's a great chance you can do anything here. You can achieve anything through this. Those of you who might have read my book, Carving a Sky, there we have presented this idea. If you go on thinking, if you go deeper into that question, why existence? Why we are here? What is the meaning of this existence? You will never get an answer because there is no answer. Actually, there is no answer. And worse, the question itself is meaningless. And yet we are here. If we are here, let us make the best out of it. Why? What best? You can do anything with your life. Life is such a great chance, such a great chance. Dedicate yourself to Vidya, to gaining knowledge of anything. Dedicate yourself to creating wealth for the society. Sampad. Dedicate yourself to serving others. And or dedicate yourself completely towards freedom. Each of these and a combination of these will make you free, will make you great. That's the most important thing. It will make you great. Because your personality will expand. Everyone, everyone wants his or her personality to expand. Those, those who want to commit suicide, they feel that their personality cannot expand any further because of some unfortunate situation. So they commit suicide with the hope that either the existence after that this will be extinguished or there will be a new opportunity. In either you take one of these two approaches. Ultimate meaning of creation is just one. Life is a great chance. It's such a wonderful chance. You are there, your mind is there. You have so many thoughts in your mind. You can achieve anything. You can do anything. Try doing it. Try doing it. See, there are moments when I think of the blacks or the colored, they keep on changing the names in America. They were brought as slaves. And one of those slaves was Alex Haley. Alex Haley, he was one of those blacks. And his biography is very interesting. And I was so fascinated by this gentleman, Alex Haley. And when he was growing up, people of his community did not have much opportunity in life. But he was fascinated by this education. He wanted to study. Sorry, I'm digressing a bit, but it's a very interesting story. I don't think many of you might have heard. So Alex Haley was studying in a college and just to earn some money so that he could pay college fees. He was working as a waiter, as an attendant in one of those long distance trains in America. It so happened that there was a gentleman traveling first class in those days, and he had a wife who fell sick. And that gentleman came out, and this boy was there, and he asked for some hot water. And it was midnight. It was very difficult to get water, but this boy went and somehow he opened that pantry car and switched on things and made hot water and came running. The wife was in pain and she could not sleep. So this gentleman came out and sat with this boy and started talking. Now they had a very clear instruction that was a service code that they were not supposed to talk about their personal matters to any of these passengers. But a gentleman just asked, "What are you doing? Where are you? What are you doing?" When he heard that he is studying in some college, which college? He just heard and he didn't say anything. And beyond that, this boy kept telling, "Sir, we are not permitted to discuss beyond this." And it was over, and then he went back to his college. It was basically some kind of vacation period he was earning. So when he went to the college to deposit his fees, he was informed by the college authorities that his fees for the entire period of his future stay for next 4 or 5 years was paid completely. His tuition fees, his hostel fees, his food, everything was paid. He was surprised because that was a big amount. And so then he tried to find out who has paid, and finally somehow he could relate that the gentleman with whom he was talking in that train, to serve whom he had gone out of the way, and the gentleman was so impressed. He was a very rich person, and he had, without informing him, had done this. So he completed his degree and then he got some job in a lighthouse. But he decided no, he didn't want security. He wanted to pursue Vidya, knowledge. And finally, he wrote a very famous book, Roots, by Alex Haley. Those of you might have read Roots. It's about, he got curious about how his ancestors came to America. And then he went on doing it. It's a marvelous book. And it was a big sensation when this book came out. It created such a sensation in America. Fascinating book. It's considered to be one of the best books produced from America. Now, when you look at this American life, the way these people were sold as slaves, and they were considered fit only for the lower job, and now see, slowly, slowly, where they have gone. Chief of Pentagon today is so-called colored person, whom American people had extremely derisive terms for whom. And the whole South of America, it was such a place. Now, this shows the power of human mind. Sitting here on this earth, we are sending crafts to moon and we are sending crafts to Mars and controlling things from here. See the power of human mind. And this mind belongs only to Prakriti, and it's such a small part, such a small and such a faded reflection, such poor reflection of Purusha. Me, you, we are Purusha. Something like, this moonlight is such a moonlight, the surface of moon is considered to be such a poor reflector. And yet, we talk about moonlight, beauty of moonlight, the soothing moonlight. As far as light itself is concerned, just imagine then what sun would be like. People who have lived only by moonlight, they cannot imagine what it would be to be on the sun. We who have lived only with this mind, we cannot visualize, it's beyond our ken, it's beyond our understanding to think what it would be to be one with pure consciousness, whose very poor reflection is mind. And how powerful. I just gave you this example that people who were considered fit only for menial services, see where this didn't, not this. Our Barack Obama, he became president, he was half black. And in America, top positions everywhere, just shows that it's not fluke. It is inbuilt. Only that power has to be unleashed. And as you unleash your power, you get more and more experiences. And as you get more and more experiences, you are nearer to freedom. Only when you say that enough, I don't want any more. When a poor person wants to die, he doesn't say he had enough. He says how he wishes that he had some wealth, how he wishes that he had a comfortable life. Wishes are always there. When we talk about being fed up with this world, we actually mean to say that we are fed up of our situation. There's a funny story about one elderly gentleman who was carrying some kind of load on his head. So he was some kind of coolie, porter. And he used to keep complaining, "Oh Lord, take me up, take me up." So once a naughty boy, he threw some red rope and told that fellow, "Catch hold of it and come up, your time is up." And this gentleman, he was so scared, he says, "No, no, when I say, uthao, take up, I wanted someone to help me take this pick this weight up, lift this weight up on my shoulders." Now, that's the thing. When it comes to ultimately giving up, we are not ready to give up ultimately. We just want our problems to go away. So we need to keep in life is a great chance. Life is a great chance. Kritartham prati nashtam api anashtam tat anya sadharanatvat. So this Sutra 22, it contradicts the Vedanta philosophy. According to Vedanta, pure consciousness alone exists. Now, if a person gets self knowledge, then everyone else should get, but it does not happen. Yoga says that souls being many, if one soul gets freedom, that does not mean that other soul will also get. That means a series of souls, a series of Purusha get trapped in this Prakriti and they're continuously getting trapped. See, what these philosophies do, it is beyond them because of the obvious reasons that we mentioned, that there is no real connect between consciousness and matter. They cannot give us a precise mathematical explanation to say existence or these problems. Why? Because there is no real connect. So they take up a situation. It's kind of a phenomenology, you can say. Phenomenology at a very high level. What high level? When sages went into the depths of meditation, they realized the truth was to be free. And this world, this existence is all about bondage. So they come up with some kind of explanation, with some model to explain existence, explain creation. So they say that there will always remain an infinite number of others for whom nature will go on working. That's the yoga standpoint. Vedanta contradicts it in a different way. Swami Shaktayo Swarup Uplabdhi Hetu Sanyogaha. But why this junction? Yes, we can understand that Purusha goes through all these experiences and then moves towards freedom. But why have this junction? The junction is the cause of the realization of the nature of both the powers, the experienced and its Lord. Prakriti. Prakriti is experience and its Lord is Purusha. Just to remind, Purusha is not man and Prakriti is not female. Every conscious being has two realities. One is of consciousness and there is of matter. Consciousness is Purusha. Sometimes people ask that why females have to be bad. Females are not bad. In Hindu system of thought, there is no difference between male and female. As far as their sense organs are concerned, they are same. It is just the external instruments that are different. That is why when we have these, say for example, I had cataract operation. So my eyes have undergone some kind of change. So God did not make me the way I am. Because if God had made, then it couldn't have been changed. My organ of sight continues to be the same, irrespective of what kind of eyes I have. So whether I'm using specs or I'm using that inside lens because my lenses have been removed, or I'm using telescope, or I'm using periscope, I am using microscope, my inner organ remains the same. It evolves depending on what kind of work I do. So just to remind you that Purusha and Prakriti mean this. Now, according to this aphorism number 23, ignorance is the cause of junction. See, these are just models to explain the inexplicable. That which cannot be explained, that is being explained through these models. Ignorance is the cause of this junction. But the good that comes out of it is that the powers of both are expressed. That Purusha is capable of getting freedom and Prakriti is capable of creating sights. Oh my God, such a wonderful thing. Combine these two and see. Land is land. Land is useless on its own, and the seeds are useless on its own. Just put seeds and seeds in land and see what happens. Such beautiful creation. Green, green, green. And so many things. You have plants, you have trees, and you have colors, you have flowers, you have fruits. You have so many things coming. If land is barren and seeds are kept in your house, then what happens? Nothing. Just mix them and see. And once you take everything away, seeds are once again back. Land is left alone. Prakriti is something like that. Just to remind you again, these are just mere examples, analogies. Don't take these things very seriously. Prakriti and Purush is like that. Prakriti is lying barren, like barren land. It has absolutely no purpose of its own, nothing. Just put seeds in it. Seeds in the form of Purusha, consciousness. And nature blooms. So that way we know the power of the land, the fertility of land, and we also know the vigor of those seeds. Because both these things show their full capability. Nowadays, of course, a lot of things are being done through fertilizers and this putting too much of extra water, etc. Even then, if you have good seeds and if you have good land, you can make out from the produce. Just one look at the crop and you know that it is a healthy crop. And see the beauty. Just try going to some farm. And when it's in full bloom, all green, it's such a wonderful sight. It fills you with life. Take the seeds away. Land is barren. This sutra says that if they had not come together, then no one would have known the power of Purusha, nor would they have known the majesty of Prakriti. Now, this is no explanation truly as far as philosophy is concerned, but well, that is how yoga looks at this. And again, coming back, that tasya hetu avidya. They will come again, that avidya is the cause of all that. And if avidya is not there, ignorance is not there, ignorance on the part of the Purusha. Somehow Purusha forgets its nature. Swamiji says, it's a beautiful explanation. Through ignorance, we have joined ourselves with a particular body. It's ignorance that has made me join myself with this body. And thus opened ourselves to misery. All my miseries, in Hindi speaking belt in India, if you move around, very often you will hear from lower class, papi pet ka sawal hai. The pet, my belly. This is the sinner. To fill up my belly, I have to do all this. All the miseries that we have, whatever misery we have, whatever misery, it's all simply because of this body and my attachment with this body. I have attached myself with this body. And in worst cases, we attach ourselves with the bodies of others. You have a wife, you have a husband, you have children, you have grandchildren. You go on identifying with different bodies. And as you go on identifying yourself with more and more bodies, you keep on inviting more and more trouble for yourself. You are miserable. You are miserable because you have identified yourself with a body. You are more miserable when you identify yourself with more number of bodies. This idea of body is a simple superstition. Now, this is where yoga and Vedanta come up with amazing ideals. Actually, it's a superstition because Prakriti itself, Purusha has nothing to do with Prakriti. What to say of this body? The glory of Purusha, the sheer free nature of Purusha, It is absolutely beyond Prakriti. It's a master of Prakriti. So how can a mere body, this simple body, control me? And yet it controls because we have identified. Identify yourself with anything, any person, and you will suffer. And you might have seen in your own life. Whenever you identify yourself with anyone, you suffer. Get out of identification. Nothing can happen to you. I keep telling people, my friends, every time I have become soft, I have suffered. Every time I was ruthless and I was strict and curt, I never had any problem. Curtness is a sign of indifference. Be soft and you will be in trouble. We invite trouble. Normally say that you have to be soft. No, it's the other way around. Your mind has to be extremely tough, totally detached from everybody and everything in this world. Otherwise, you will suffer. It is our business to rise above this superstition that I am this body. Swamiji, he was a sage. He was a sage. And a sage who talked the modern language, who addressed the problems of the modern man the way we think, the way we understand. Swamiji was not telling anything new. He was telling the same thing that had been told by masters of every religion, and that which we find in the Vedas and the Upanishads and the Gita was the speciality. His specialty is he could speak the language that we understand. I don't mean English or Hindi or Bengali. The language of our mind. We understand superstition. So when people talk about idolatry and superstition like that, no. To think that you have a body, to think that you are a body is the worst kind of superstition we have. And if we want happiness in life, if we want freedom in life, we need to get out of this superstition. He says that mind has strange powers, and there have been occasions when mind goes in some altered state of consciousness or altered state of focus, it cannot feel what it was feeling earlier. Now, when the power of mind is focused through yoga, all these things that we have been discussing, we become permanently established in altered state of consciousness where we get detached from this body forever. When you are focusing on something, for example, when kids watch some interesting TV serial, some cartoon or some cricket match, they forget their hunger, they forget their thirst, they forget their responsibilities of studying and all. And they go beyond their body consciousness. But this is temporary. Now, if you want that you should have this feeling permanently, you become dispassionate from this body, from this world forever. Then you need to practice yoga. Only through yoga you can do that. Tad abhavat sanyog abhavo hanam tatrishe kaivalya. Freedom. There being absence of that ignorance, there is absence of junction. Avidya itself has gone. The identification of Purusha with Prakriti, where Purusha thinks that I am one with Prakriti, that is gone. So there will be no junction. So actually there are two issues being discussed. One, Purusha mistakenly thinks that it is one with Prakriti. Purusha, by nature being lighted up, the moment it comes near Prakriti, Prakriti gets lighted up. And once Prakriti gets lighted up, Purusha thinks that it is same as me. Like riding a tiger. Once you are riding a tiger, you cannot get off unless tiger dies. Till the tiger dies. Otherwise, once you try to get off, the tiger will kill you. It will eat you up. The world is just like riding a tiger. Absence of jungle, which is the thing to be avoided, that is the independence of the seer. How do we get freedom in life? How do we get freedom from this existence? The junction is to be cut. the junction of Purusha and Prakriti. It has to be a complete and permanent divorce, complete and permanent separation, disjunction. And the cause is avidya, because Purusha has forgotten. Unless Purusha knows who Purusha is, it will keep falling back to Prakriti. And this whole drama will continue forever till eternity, because there is no end to creation. There was neither a beginning to this creation nor there will be an end to the creation. It will continue eternally. You need to get out. And for that, first you need to know who you are. And just by knowing who you are will not serve the purpose. Then you also need to cut this junction asunder. So, the purpose of life, goal of life, as mentioned in Sutra number this 21, this is just a drishya. And 25 says, Tadavat sanyog abhave hanam tadrishe kaivalyaha. This is the independence of the seer. The goal is freedom, nothing less than freedom. Now, this is a very interesting chapter. They're very interesting sutra, because Swamiji talks about the famous quotation: each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to manifest this divinity within. We will take this sutra up in the next class. Thank you so much for being.